Welcome, and today we're gonna be talking about the main character of the entire series, Seiya, Saint Seiya, the Bronze Knight of Pegasus. We're starting right now. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Seiya. Seiya is the main character in the manga and anime series Saint Seiya and Saint Seiya Pegasus during the Holy Wars in the 20th century until before the events of Next Dimension. He is the reincarnation of the past Bronze Saint of Pegasus, Tenma, and the first Pegasus, the first human to injure the god Hades since the mythological era. In the drama CD, Do Si Bin Danja, I'll put the name down here, and in the spin-off Saint Seiya Omega, and in episode G, Assassin, Seiya is now promoted to the Gold Saint of Sagittarius. He is the successor of Aiolos, as mentioned by Swan's Yoga in the Next Dimension episode 31. From his rank of Pegasus to that of Sagittarius, he has always remained the most devoted and closest saint to Saori Kido, otherwise known as Athena. Seiya's appearance. Seiya's hair shape is similar in the manga and anime, being short, bristly, and pointy, barely reaching the nape of the neck. He has wide sideburns, pronounced eyebrows, and a snub nose. He is short in stature, similar in size to Jabu and Shun, taking into account that his adolescent size was not modified for his adult form in the spin-off Saint Seiya Omega. In the anime, his hair is brown, sometimes with gradient Pantone, shine, and chocolate eyes. While in the manga, Seiya's hair is reddish, with Pantone gradient in shades and also reddish eyes. Similar to the Tenma version in the past, it shows even more fiery red hair. His skin tone is peach color. In the first anime, his skin was somewhat darker. That's true. And in the production of the Hades saga, its color palette was modified. His civilian clothing, in the animation at least, consists of a red t-shirt with gathered sleeves, light blue jeans, and white sneakers, as well as a set of red fabric bands that he has on his wrist and on his left arm. For his personality, it has the characteristics of the typical 8-year-old shonen hero, which his main characteristic, never giving up in any situation, however impossible or difficult it may seem, always in the name of justice and the goddess Athena. Seiya believes in friendship and hope. He is temperamental, impulsive, reckless, and sometimes foolish. When he was little, Seiya many times feared to continue with his training, driven by the idea that his head was one more in the Cassius collection in the event of a possible confrontation with him, which would occur later when Seiya goes to attain his corresponding cloth, and also because of the existing discrimination in the sanctuary with respect to Asians, a fact that cost him a beating from his teacher Marin, but also earned him the friendship of Aiolia, who encouraged him to continue his training independently what they thought of him, since his teacher was Japanese just like Seiya. A very important fact in the story is that Seiya has a personal motivation to become saint, to reunite with his older sister Seika, from whom he was separated in his childhood by his own father Mitsumasa Kido, to whom he asked the favor that if he returned to Japan with the cloth, allowing him to start looking for his sister, an objective that was renewed when he returns to Japan after 6 years of training and discovers that his sister has disappeared. In Saint Seiya Omega, worthy of his new rank as the Gold Saint of Sagittarius, Seiya is more mature, having gained enough experience from his fighting in the past. On some occasions, Seiya appears in Koga's mind to give some advice to the young Saint of Pegasus. Seiya believes in the current Bronze Saints, especially Koga, whom he raised alongside Saori as a Saint of Light. Seiya has also attempted to save Koga when he became Abzu's host, where he demonstrated the tenacity and determination to fight him, even if he had to kill him. Seiya has shown a bit of confusion by not being able to kill the goddess Pallas. I'll put the name down here. But after Saori's determination to give his life, Seiya feels secure in having to. He also seems to have definitively inherited the spirit of Aiolos from Sagittarius, and he demonstrated this by launching the Atomic Thunderbolt, a technique he apparently inherited from the previous Saint of Sagittarius. Then Seiya's angry temper was again noted when Europe spoke ill of Athena, In the fight against Titan, he confesses his true feelings, making it known that he does not fight because he is ordered, but because he wants it, and also confesses that he calls Athena by name since he does not see Athena as a goddess, but as Saori, a woman. In the battle against Saturn, Seiya guides the young saints to keep fighting, showing once again the classic Seiya that never gives up and always gets up, where despite having his clock completely destroyed, he continued to fight the enemy until the last minute. In the series finale, Seiya is shown to be very romantic and loyal to Saori, where he tells her that he will always be by her side. History. Prior to the Sanctuary Saga, childhood, Seiya and Seika are separated. When he was orphaned with his older sister Seika, he was taken to the Grad Foundation Star Children Academy orphanage, owned by his biological father Mitsumasa Kido. In that place he was not satisfied and did not accept anything that came from the Kido family, which caused him problems with Jabu, another of the children from the orphanage and one of the 100 children of Mitsumasa Kido, because he felt a great gratitude to that family. Jabu kicked Seiya boys. Seiya and Jabu rivaled each other since they were children for their disparate views on Saori Kido, and he did not accept Seiya's insolence against Miss Saori Kido, beginning a rivalry that lasted until adolescence, where from childhood they exchanged blows. Then Seiya is chosen to be part of the group of children selected by the Foundation, who are sent to different training places in different locations around the world, in order to obtain a bronze cloth and obtain the title of Saint. In the process, he was separated against his will from his sister's care at the orphanage. In a lottery conducted to select his training venue, Seiya was assigned to the shrine in Greece, birthplace and origin of the saints. Before leaving, Seiya makes a deal with Mitsumasa Kido, which consisted that if he returned to Japan after completing his training with his cloth, he would help him reunite with his sister from whom he was separated in his childhood. Training. Seiya Marin in front of Seiya. Seiya conducted his training at the Athena Shrine for 6 years under the mentorship of Marin, the female Silver Saint of Eagle, who was assigned his training since he was of Japanese origin just like Seiya. In the anime, Pope Arles personally takes Seiya with Marin, while in the manga, he is a simple hooded one, or hooded man. Seiya vs. Cassius. After 6 years of hard training, Seiya was recognized as Bronze Saint after defeating 10 opponents at the Sanctuary Colosseum. The final confrontation was made against Cassius, disciple of Shina, Ophiuchus' female Silver Saint, whom he defeated, making the first use of his technique, the Pegasus Ryusei Ken. When he is victorious, the Pope of the Sanctuary gives him the bronze cloth of Pegasus. Sanctuary Saga, Galaxian Wars. After completing his task, Seiya returns to Japan, and the first thing he does is go to the Kido mansion to see Mitsumasa to fulfill his part of the agreement that both made years ago. But great is Seiya's surprise when he learned from his granddaughter, Saori, that his grandfather passed away and that his sister disappeared a year after he left for Greece to undergo his training. Impatient for answers, Seiya heeds Miho's advice, to whom he went to ask about Seika's whereabouts, and decides to participate in the galactic tournament, in the hope that his sister would see him wherever he is and look for him. Seiya participates in the Galaxian Wars, and in his first combat he faces Geki, the saint of Ursa Major. Geki uses the physical strength of her arms and immobilizes Seiya by holding her by the neck. Seiya, on the verge of suffocating by Geki's technique, manages to remember Marin's teaching, defeating the enemy in the field where he dominates the most, and using his cosmos, he manages to defeat Geki by spreading his arms and applying a rain of kicks. In his second fight, he faces Shiryu, the Bronze Saint of the Dragon. At first, he is outmatched by his opponent because he possesses the strongest shield and fist among all bronze armor. However, Seiya, with a suicide attack, manages to make the dragon himself break his shield and his fist, making his cloth useless. Due to this, they continue to fight both without armor. Finally, Seiya defeats Shiryu by taking advantage of the weak point of the dragon attack. Seiya's hit stops Shiryu's heartbeat. Almost on the verge of death, Seiya saves the dragon, hitting him in the back with the same force as the previous blow. In this way, he manages to make Shiryu's heart beat again. It should be noted that the sanctuary rules prohibited the saints from participating in battles motivated by personal ambitions. So from this moment on, Seiya and the other bronze saints are considered traitors and persecuted by the other saints in the sanctuary. The Black Saints. In the confrontation with the Black Saints, led by Ikki, he had to face his double, the Black Saint of Pegasus, whom he easily defeats, but at the same time is reached by his rival's Black Meteors, who take him to the brink of death, and from which he is saved by Shiryu, who hits his vital points, also called cosmic points, in order to extract the infected blood. In the final battle with Ikki, Sagittarius's golden armor protects him from the Phoenix's violent attack, as well as the Dragon Shield, Andromeda Chain, and Hyoga's Cold Air, helping him to finally defeat Ikki. In the manga, after his defeat, Ikki reveals to Seiya that the 100 orphans from the Groud Foundation orphanage are the children that Mitsumasa Kido had around the world with different women. The Silver Saints. Seiya is the first to face a Silver Saint, officially, Misty of Lagarto. That could translate into crocodile, who had orders to kill him for having fought for his own benefit in the galactic tournament, so he offers to commit suicide or that Misty will kill him, but Seiya chooses to fight for his life. Marin tried to save Seiya's life by helping him fake his death, but Misty was not deceived. This fight shows that the Silver Saints are just warriors because Misty recognizes at all times the virtues of Seiya as a knight, but that for having broken the laws of Athena he must die, so Misty also fights to the end. After defeating Misty, Seiya fought against Moses from Whale and Asterion from Hunting Dogs, as Misty had agreed to meet them, so they went looking for him, only to discover that he had died. Seiya was trying to save Marin, as she had been told that Marin could be her lost sister, from Moses and Asterion, and was able to defeat Moses, but faced with Asterion's mental and physical ability, Seiya was unable to do anything and was defeated. And with that, we now conclude the first part of a two-part series of this Who is Saint Seiya video. There's nothing more to say than to thank you everybody, every single last one of you that made it to the end of the video. If you like the content, please go ahead and give it a like, a thumbs up. That way you'll be supporting the channel, and don't forget to subscribe because more videos like this are coming your way. Thanks again, and I'll see you saints in the next video. Bye.